Welcome to Soulfire Wisdom with Kate Olson. As an evolving spirit and change adventure navigator, it is Kate's mission to empower and guide you on your path and inspire your truest passions. She will encourage you to share your gifts, speak your truth, and ignite your inner wisdom and purpose. She hopes to do so with a little humor and grace and her own soulfire passion. Kate talks with amazing guests who have embraced the pursuit and are fanning the flames of their own passion, purpose, and soulfire wisdom. Now here's your host, Kate.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Soulfire Wisdom. So it's a beautiful day here in Seattle. We had a little rain this morning, but it's sunny now. And so I'm not going to do the regular totally awesome, try something new and talk about it Tuesday. Instead, I'm going to talk about the importance of being intentional about being happy or being joyful, because a lot of people, they seem to be, I don't know, searching for it, or they think if they do certain things, then all of a sudden it will occur. And there's some truth to that. But in general, the way to be happy is more of a decision. You have to decide that that's what you're going to do. You have to be intentional about that's what you want for your life, and then make it happen. So we have a great show planned for today. My guest is Maria Salamo. Okay, Smith. I get that wrong every time.
No, but it's okay. It's like Salamo, like the Alamo is the best way to say it.
Okay.
It's a great talking point.
Yes. So she's a coach and a speaker and an author who helps ignite her clients' life purpose, as well as a Reiki master and teacher, an expert in several other modalities, including NLP, EFT, chakra balancing, and full spectrum energy healing. She's the author of Finally Full of Yourself, Unlocking Your Spiritual DNA, which is in the top 100 books on happiness. Maria is a passionate tsunami of love who entertains as she teaches. She was one of the final guests on the Oprah show. Maria gets to the heart of the matter through her humor, intuition, and zaniness. As a powerful life coach, she helps ignite her clients' own unique flavor. Born in Portugal, Maria and her husband Doug split their time between their home in Boston, Massachusetts, and Portugal. They have 5 kids, 4 rescue dogs. And on a personal note, the sudden death of Maria's daughter, Sonia, ignited her passion for manifesting peace and love in the world. Deep self-care is an important part of her mission. So, hello, Maria. How are you?
Hello, beautiful Kate. And just a quickie, it's Sophia. Sophia is her name.
Yeah. What did I say?
And Sonia.
Did I?
Which is a lovely name.
Oh my goodness. I don't know.
And now we also have 7 chickens, so we've joined the chicken the chicken people.
I have it clearly written there as Sophia, so I don't know why I said it.
It's all good. It's all good. The chicken thing is important in that I have my 2 youngest daughters are 12 and 14. The 14-year-old We adopted through Department of Social Services, and I say that because she was born drug addicted, and she's got a lot of. She looks normal, but there's just a lot of like processing disorder things. And so what we did is we had a friend of ours gave, chicken coops are really, really expensive. They can be thousands and thousands of dollars. And so, or you can get like a super cheap one that doesn't fit any, it's just a weird market. So I wanted to build one with them, and I'm not real. I don't have the tools to do that. I've built stuff in it way, way past, but not recently. So I took that during this pandemic to bring some joy, like your topic, to bring some joy and be a little uncomfortable and just try something new. So a friend of ours had one that was really beat up, a small one that was not going to be big enough. So we deconstructed that one. I got another friend who's also a woman to help me with a vision I had, and it's an all women built chicken coop. We took the old one apart, we added new wood to the new one, and it's just beautiful. All we need to do now is do the roof, do another coat of painting, and they get to say like they built a chicken coop that actually will work, that is functional, that is well thought out. We're doing this because of this. They got to saw, they got to screw and unscrew and hammer and cut and reformat things. And it's those kinds of things that, I mean, that's what, when they're 80 years old or 90 years old, and that's what they're going to remember. They're not going to remember that they got a video game, or that they, got another shirt, or they went to a movie even. Like, it's just, this is like the stuff that what's old is beautiful again, what's old is joyful again. And to like, I was so afraid to do it because it's inconvenient. Sometimes you start something and you don't finish it, and it's another thing to do, and I'm already feeling stressed out. But like the chickens they keep growing, right? So there's like there's a time, and by bringing in somebody else who has the tools and who is like an aunt to the girls, and who, it just became this beautiful thing, and it's gorgeous. It's a really gorgeous coop. And I'm just, those are moments of joy.
I definitely know what you mean. Those, I had a few things like that. Like my son and I built the deck in the back of my house.
Oh, wow, you went hardcore.
And then I put a closet in my upstairs bedroom, and I did hire a contractor, but I asked him questions, and apparently that's not something he liked. And so he walked out in the middle of the job. So my neighbor and I finished it.
Nice.
And now I'm removing a stump from my front. There was a tree that I cut down that was in front of my window.
Yep.
And it's really expensive to remove stumps.
Yes, it is.
I'm doing it myself, and I borrowed a chainsaw, and I've never operated
you
before.
Okay, go.
It doesn't look hard, but they use muscles you didn't know you had. So
okay, but that's what your viewers want to know about you. That's like something that is just so beautiful.
You feel those things that you didn't think you would do or you could do, you feel really proud when you accomplish them.
Yeah.
So.
And there's something magical about having a physical challenge that's not life-threatening. The physical challenge where you get to, as an adult, to noodle over, think about, ask for, that's not, like removing a stump is not something you have in your Rolodex of how to do. So, but we have, the Google, we have the internet.
I did look up options for removing a stump. And so after I get it sawed down far enough, I'm going to put a fire ring around it and burn the rest. That's one way to get rid of it.
That is so amazing. That is so amazing.
Yeah.
That is, what a gift the tree is giving you. What a gift. No, truly, because like you get to play at solving a problem that you want to create more beauty and light in your life.
Well,
that brings joy.
actually, I'm selling my house. It just sold, and I was in the middle of removing that, and they actually put it in the contract that I finish that. So I didn't really have a choice, but good experience though.
Good experience, and more light in the world.
So, are there any gaps or any other information that you'd like to share with us before we get started on?
No, that was it. Everything was perfect.
Okay, so what was the inspiration behind your book, Finally Full of Yourself, Unlocking Your Spiritual DNA? I remember when I first heard your title, I didn't know what to think about it. And now, after knowing you, it makes like total sense to me. But so I'd like you to, share with the listeners what.
This is me without being full of myself.
Yes, exactly. And after considering what you mean by that, it does make perfect sense.
Right.
But
It's one of those things where they, like, the words we use, to be full of yourself is like, what is it, a book on how to be a Kardashian or stuck up or something like that?
yeah.
But really, sorry about that. It's really about, if you don't, the world is constantly training you to be less than. If you're too overjoyous, you get pummeled. Like if you're too happy, we've all been in situations where we're in bad moods and someone at a restaurant is having a really good time laughing, and you get really annoyed by them, right? Like, oh God, right? That happens as a parent with kids. If they're too happy sometimes and you're working on something, just stop, It's like, that's when we're not full of ourselves, and they're so joyous. They're like laughing and woo, and we are in this grind, less than ourselves. And it for some reason, we want people who are too in the
to
light.
fill us up.
Yeah. Yep.
And it doesn't work. They can't. So, yeah.
It doesn't. So I like to give the example, like, if we're all on vacation somewhere at a beach house, where it's super quiet, it's just us. Let's say there are 4 of us, and we're having a great time. We're playing cards, just the women. We're just like hanging out. And let's say that you had a phone call, and it was like a book deal, like a really big book deal with Oprah. And you were like, it was like all you needed to do was sign it and send it in. So you were just waiting for like where the email address or something. And you get the phone call and you go, hold on. So we're all at a level 10 playing cards. There's no technology except for that one phone call. And like, we're all having a great time. You go to the phone and they're like, the whole deal, COVID hit, the whole deal is off. We're not doing it at all. There's no funding, whatever. And now, instead of a level 10, you're now at a level 3, maybe a -3, because you're like, everything you envisioned is like, ooh. So you go back to the group. So when you were full of yourself at a 10, now you're really, really dragging. And you'll either want to go and disappear, which the group will notice, or you'll go in there and you'll try to be invisible, which is the same thing as disappearing, or you're going to start a fight with someone because everyone's going to be like, you know what, I just can't do this right now. Some form of that. So when you come in, let's say you get really quiet, and then what's wrong? I don't want to talk about it. I just don't want to talk about it. I just don't want to. And then you start crying, or you leave, or because they're at such a high level and you're at such a low level that it literally clashes. So if people aren't trained in how to move that energy as life slams into you, that's a disappointment. That's a disappointment. And so to be able to process it as, okay, life is happening for me, not to me. Because what it could do is it could activate all of the thoughts of, I'm not good enough, things always happen to me, nothing works out for me. If you have those things as your philosophy, as your belief system, based on your translation of how life has happened, then you're going to have a horrible time. A horrible time. If you've done some of the work and finally full of yourself, and you get that, okay, wow, this really stings. This really, oh, I feel horrible right now. Let me take some deep breaths. Let me do some tapping. Let me jump up and down and shake. Let me go outside and scream. So like one technique you could do is like, okay, you go back to the group, say, guys, I got some really bad news. I need some help processing this icky energy. I really am feeling gross. And so as a tribe, you could all go outside. The 4 of us could go outside and start yelling and screaming and jumping or saying, or maybe pounding the earth, or doing something where we're like going back to that, getting rid of the gunk, I call it, and bringing back the energy, because it's a huge stuck point. And by moving together, especially involving everyone, now you're including people, and maybe it's kids, maybe you're in it could be any group, right? But if you have a strong support system and teaching them that when something smacks you, how to process that back into flow, right?
Or you could think of, okay, I'm glad this happened now. What if what if my book would have been published last week, and then COVID hits, and it might not go over the way. I mean, you can't go out and promote it, and so
there are a million different things. Like if you can only live your life as a gift or as a curse. You can only live that way. I have a friend who lives his life as if the death of his child is a curse. It shouldn't have happened. It was wrong. It's been 20 something years. It shouldn't have happened. It was wrong. This is bad, blah, blah, blah. So everything he does is on the negative side, because he just believes that he was wronged. That's his world philosophy.
Wrong.
And you can totally believe whatever you want. I'm not saying that that's wrong. I'm saying that that's going to have consequences. Everything that you do is sludgier. Your life is heavier because you're on a heavier, darker channel. If you because you're holding on to something that will never shift. You cannot go back in time, as far as I know, and shift something, because if you could, I would burn my book and go back in time and save my daughter's life. If I could do that, I would do it.
Of course.
I would do it. I would do it. And I can't. And because I can't, then I choose to live her life, or my life, in honor of her. And how can I be a gift? How can I, and I know this sounds like, because the wording is, I want her to be proud of me. And I know that's like a little bit of ego, a little bit, but to me, it's like, I want to raise my vibration to such a joyous state. Again, the goal of today is like joy. Just raise it to such a joyous state that I can connect with her beautiful soul. She had Down syndrome too. And so those kids are just happy. Oh, they're just love. They're superpower. They have an extra chromosome because they have so much love. They need an extra chromosome in there. And it's all about the love. It's about the love. And it's so beautiful to be able to like say, I'm like, this interview is all about Sophia. It's all about Sophia and the love. And Kate, the love that you give your audience. It's just the love. I mean, at the end of the day, so many people are dying right now, so many. And it's like, really, a lot of them didn't even know they were going to die. My friend's dad just died on Father's Day, And so it's just, it's one of those things where we don't know how long we have on this planet. What are we holding back for? Like, no, just savor it now. Hug the people now. Process the crap now. Get rid of the gunk. It doesn't serve you. What do you stand for? What are you going to live?
Definitely.
it sideswipes. For the book, I did so much research with people who are paramedics and for people who see people right at the end of their life. They might have moments to live, and they all say basically the same thing. It's like they want to be remembered. They want their life to have had meaning. Did my life have value? And so the only person that can answer that is you. So
Yeah.
the gift of right now, my cancer journey of being diagnosed with breast cancer, is that I get to live. We all live on the edge. We just think we're not on the edge, but all of us live on the edge because we could die like that. I mean, we have 3 little holes in our head. If I block this and block this for the next 3 minutes, you'll have a real live show. Like boom.
That's
Nobody
not,
can live. We're not an edge.
that's not an option. So, yeah, it's like people that come with horrific past traumas that they've had in their life, and they're suffering. They're saying, I'm broken, I'm wounded, and I'm going to keep experiencing that because it was just so horrific. I can't let it go. And that's letting that trauma, that horrible experience win. It's letting it control your life. It's letting it be what your life is about. And you can't, who wants to do that?
No. So in part of, I have a number of books I'm working on right now because the energy is so juicy right now for me. And one of them is going to help with what you said right now with people like this. And I've done it with hundreds and hundreds of people, and it works like a charm. And I use a visual cue if you want to do it with me. So what you're saying is people are stuck in a pattern loop.
They have something horrible that happened, and to emphasize how horrible it was, they keep prolonging the suffering, instead of letting it go.
So there are a number of reasons from a neuro-linguistic, from like a chemical, from a brain chemistry. There's a whole bunch of things going on there. But a simplified version of to get out of that is they're confusing to be with to feel, or to have and to feel. So I grew up in a super abusive home. My dad tried to kill me twice. So I get heavy loads of trauma. And so what happens is you get that moment that lasted, let's say my whole abusive childhood lasted, if you took a moment here, an hour here, let's say it lasted 2 weeks. If I did 24 hours a day, it didn't, but let's just say 2 weeks solid. That means out of my whole childhood, let's just say 18 years, 2 weeks out of 18 years doesn't feel like it's a lot, but that's what you focus on. So that's what you're going to get more of. When Sophia died, I was so focused on the last moments of her life and what I could have done differently. So focused that I started forgetting her life. I started forgetting moments and memories because I was so focused. Non-rational, right? Because even if I found out what it was that I could have done differently, and I did find out what I think I could have done differently, it didn't matter. Yeah. Right? It's a pattern loop you get in. So when people are stuck in that loop, like you said, the trauma loop, because they don't, it's so shocking, it's so whatever. Yeah. It's that what you want to do, all my dogs are singing, 4 rescue dogs. What you want to do is when you want something to keep in your life, to cement in your life, you want to say, I am, or I have, right? I am happy. I am a mother. I am a world famous author. I am super entertaining, right? Yeah. I have a great life. When you want to use something that's anger or something you don't want in your life, you say feel, like it's a train going by. I feel angry. I feel disgusted. I feel lost. I feel confused. Because people think you have to be positive and like, oh, I'm just going to hide it. You cannot fake energy. That's for sure. You cannot fake it.
You can feel angry and still be happy.
Mm.
Maybe not in the same moment, but in a very short
Because,
period of
yeah,
time.
but you know what? I think the key is to feel authentic, and grounded at the same time, because it's not all about being happy, 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 happy. You know, sometimes I think we're learning how to have different emotions that we just didn't even know that we had, because we were so like happy, sad, angry.
Yeah.
You know, like it was just like that. It's super powerful to really start thinking about, if you start feeling icky or gunky, do you want to say, I am angry? No, cancel, cancel. You want to say, I feel angry, because you don't want to. Anger is a great motivator. Like, it can get you out of a dark hole. But if you live in anger, it'll start eating away at your nervous system. It'll start eating away. That's what stress is. Stress, when your body is stressed out, you're not healing, you're not digesting, you're not anything. Your body takes all its energy and puts it into the endorphins to get you, so you get high. But then people get used to doing that, and they like to, right? I just got a pain in my chest just thinking about that.
Well, it's not healthy or natural to.
It's not natural, and we weren't built for that.
Well, to be
We weren't built
stuck
for
in
that.
one emotion. We can
Yes.
feel a whole range of emotions, like I am angry about all the misinformation that's out there and how
So
people
I feel angry.
share it. Yes, I feel angry.
Right?
I am sad. I feel sad about all the people that are getting
Yes.
sick and
I feel
dying.
disgusted. I feel disgusted that this is how we're treating people. Like
Right.
that. I feel, you say it all, right?
But I am happy, and I am going to go see a beautiful sunset tonight, and it is going to make me feel joyful.
Yes. And I am joyful, and I will be joy, like all of that stuff. Like I am going to fill myself with things that I need. I am, because here's the thing, the stronger we can make ourselves, right? Hurt people, but like happy people, strong people, full of themselves people, help other people become full of themselves. This whole thing with Black Lives Matter, I was writing about that in my book 4 years ago. Right? So
Yeah.
this is something where, like, I got a hit to talk about. This has been in the ethos for a long time.
Yes, it has. Just
Long time.
7 months ago, I did a soul talk with my son's young Black friend, who was telling me about his fear of exactly what happened to George Floyd.
I mean, I can't even watch the video, quite honestly, because the state that I'm in, right, that I feel like I'm in right now, I just can't go there. But I completely am taking another look at myself. Because it's all of us. It's all of us.
Yes.
I'm a big talker. Like, I'm the person at Thanksgiving meals, if someone starts going racist, I'm going to be like, that's not appropriate. And then usually in that situation, I'm the one that's going to get yelled at, because I should know better, because so-and-so is old, or so-and-so is a guest, or so-and-so, whatever. But that's what people need to start doing. That is not a cool way. That is not an appropriate way to treat another human being. Full stop.
Looking back on our video, what I saw in it was that, not our video, but the one I did with.
Yeah. No, I get it, with your son, your friend's son.
I was shocked that he felt that way, but I was explaining to him how, we had to be more compassionate and tolerant. And now I feel like that we don't need that. It's been too long. It's going too slow. We've been too tolerant, and it needs to change. Yep. It's just not acceptable.
It's too much. it's ridiculous. It's really like we human beings can do so much better. And that was what I wrote about in the book. Like, you take how women have been treated, you take how people of different nationalities and skin colors have been treated, and you think about, our society tends to lean towards money. In our lives, we do things for money that we wouldn't do. Most people probably wouldn't have the job they have if they didn't get paid, right? So most of us do things only because we're getting paid. And that's the thing that society in general does. We follow the money because that's what we're taught. You got to work hard. And a lot of the things that we have, that's why this new generation is kind of interesting, because they kind of don't care about the money. They're kind of, more like, what's up? Like, it's different.
That may not be a long-term sort of thing, because I remember, when our generation didn't care about money.
Yeah.
And they
it turned around.
Like big guppies.
Yeah. I think that the sweet spot though is that the environment, like, no one talks about this right now, but the environment is still TikTok. It's like there are all of these like so my daughter's now 16, but when she was like 14 years old, she was saying at dinner that on the school bus, the talk of the school bus that day was they thought that they were in their midlife because they didn't think they were going to last more than 30. They were going to die before they were 30. And this is what not like two friends were talking. This is what people on the bus were talking about. Like, this is because think about it, like they read the reports and they see the newscasts from the UN saying, maybe it's already too late, right? And what are we doing differently? Not a lot. Almost nothing. And so they're doing the math, even though we live in it, like,
Well, I have been just really upset about how slowly things change. I mean, everything. It's not just one thing. All of these things are related. Like, okay, I wrote a paper on why we should abolish the electoral college when I was in junior high. My son wrote a similar paper when he was in high school or junior high. We're talking about it again, but it's kind of like, oh, this could never happen. And why can it happen? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and where would we be if it had happened?
Yeah.
But we can that's the same thing as Sophia's death, or something you can't, right? Like, we have the right now and we can only go from now forward. And there's a gift in it somewhere. There's a gift in it's everything that we're going through right now. There's a curse too.
One thing, it's everything has been like that.
Yeah. Like, and we're getting to a tipping point. Like you said, everything's interconnected, Kate. That's what you look, right? So you're right. And that's why it looks like everything's imploding. Everything is coming to a head, because everything is coming to a head and everything is connected, like you said, and everything is imploding. And it's going to go one way or another, or some hybrid of both, and when I was in college, my senior year, I went to Boston College, and there was a class, I write about this in Finally Full of Yourself. There was a class that everybody wanted to get into. You could only get that class if you were like a senior and like one of the first spots to pick, because this guy, Dr. Daniel Baer, was amazing. He was a psychologist. And every day he did a different topic. One day he did UFOs. The other day he did psychic healing. Then he did all of those things. And this is Boston College, a Jesuit institution. And he's talking to psychics and all this stuff. It was like, wow, everyone wanted to sign up for it. Well, the first 2 days of class, he didn't show up. And instead, there was a psychic that came in who taught us how to clear our energy, use our energy, like feel our energy. It was like, what? So because of that class, when I was 21, I am able to do things energetically that I've been doing for more than 30 years now because of that lady. And she said, this is the most exciting time on earth to be alive in the history of earth, because everything was slow, like you said, Kate, like crazy slow moving. And now it's going faster and faster and faster and faster. And you're seeing that, and it's super. And if you believe some of this psychic stuff, right? Like a lot of the souls are this is too much for them and they're leaving. There are a lot of people. I know personally of 6 people who died in the past week, and none of them from COVID. It was all like doom, 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 doom. And so there's a lot of death around. And I think there's like that big massive shift. Like we live in our heads so much, we forget that we're really like, we're here,
Yeah.
we're here and then we're not,
So, I guess I'm putting a lot of hope on the young generation.
Yes.
That they
Yes.
are going to just stick with it and insist on this change, because it has to happen.
So you have a vital role to play in that. I talk about this in Finally Full of Yourself. I call them the firsters, the first. I call us the bridgers, and I call our parents' generation the enders. They're the end of how we used to do things. We're the bridgers because we know how to be good girls and do all of those things that we're supposed to do. And then we also have like this, let's do it. Let's be curious and let's do things differently. And like, for example, your grandparents' childhood was completely different than yours. Mm-hmm. And now your adulthood is completely different than theirs. Mm-hmm. Completely different, especially as a woman.
Yeah.
And so our children in the same way, they don't understand how your parents did stuff. Why would you do that? Like even having a home phone for some people,
Yeah.
Like this whole thing is just foreign. Like why would you have call waiting? Like, these little things that you don't, but the whole thing of going forward, these firsters, they literally are the saving grace. And they need us bridgers because we can help them. We don't have attachment to the way things were for the most part, right? That's why our generation is so vitally important. But we have information that we can give them to help them. But they do not follow the rules because one example is this, or one main reason is this. It was acceptable for us to be hit as children. It was socially acceptable growing up that people hit you. If you didn't do it the right way, you would get a spanking, a beating, whatever. But kids who are firsters now, in general, did not get spankings or beatings. And that allowed them to be more connected to themselves. They also have higher anxiety levels and higher everything's, and higher stress because of all the information we talked about already, because they are not blind. They're not stupid. They have huge issues with gut, with all of that stuff. And so we as human beings, we need this shakeup. I think I think it's brilliant that COVID made everyone stay home. Well, not everyone, but most people stay home and just ground for 2 to 3 months. And granted, everyone had different circumstances, but the whole planet was on lockdown and it wasn't a war. That's just crazy. That's just crazy how that happened. And it's just shifting times, Kate. It's just deeply shifting times. And we are part of the solution.
Well, I am hoping that that a solution does come about, that we do better.
Yes. It's a million different solutions and a million different ways to do better.
So the next question was, many people are feeling very stressed and anxious right now. So I think we covered that one. So what do you wish
Shadowing.
people would remember about their lives? Is there something that you think they're missing?
Can you repeat the question because the little part got cut off? Can you say that again?
What do you wish people would remember about their
About their
lives? Is there something that's missing?
Yeah. We were taught as little kids to get the answers outside of ourselves. And so the main thing, so it was always a formula, right? And the formula looked like, I call that the HERD, H-E-R-D operating system. So that means get a good education, to get a good job, to find a mate, to buy a house, to have kids, blah, 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 blah. And there are variations of that. Divorce started going in there, different things. But in general, you had a formula. You knew what to do because it was all laid out for you. Well, this newer generation blew that formula up. They don't really care about, getting married first or getting even an education, or it's changed. They're like a lot of them, not everyone, right? But there are a lot of them that just want to go do a gap year somewhere, or they want to help the homeless and just want to live with just different things that they want to do, and they just want to do. And it's that kind of living, that's that kind of thinking, that's what it is. They're following their true north. So when you live full of yourself, finally full of yourself, that's why the word finally is in there, because when you're finally full of yourself, you start, it's like when you live full of you, you start getting your intuition. It's like you could hear it, you can feel it, you get these like, oh, if someone pops into your head, that's a psychic connection. You're not going to randomly think about your cousin and they're not thinking about you, or something's going on. That's a psychic hit. Your brain just doesn't go, oh, I was just thinking about you. How curious. No, people, it's like a form of telekinesis or telepathy or something. This is how it works. So yes, please, can I have another, is what you say. You ask for another. Like, I see that, I want more of that. And you listen to your intuition and ask a really good question. Sometimes, why does this happen to me? Why does this happen? So you're going to get the answer to that.
A lot of
based on your level of trauma. So what you want to say, ask a better question. Is this the best question? Do I really want the answer to that question? What's wrong with me? Do I want that answer? No, dump that question. You want, what's the best and highest good for me right now in this situation? So going back to that, we're at the beach house, right? And you get that horrible news and you just go, whoa, okay, that really stunk. And I think you do need to shake it off. Animals in the wild shake it off. Like they get chased, a gazelle gets chased by a lion when they're free and clear and they're not in danger anymore, they shake. And human beings haven't learned how to shake yet. And I think the shaking part, like, I think it helps something like regularly. I don't know if it's a grounding or
physical
it's something
encompassing what you want to happen or feel.
Yep. So it's that thing where we go back to ourselves and we listen to ourselves. Ask a good question. Ask the question you want the answer to, and then just, if it doesn't come in the way, to say, I need more information. That doesn't help me. Like talk. It's like prayer is like begging, right? Prayer, traditionally, I grew up Catholic. Prayer is usually, please give me this. I'll do. It's like begging. It's really begging. And
it can be, yes.
Yes. And so please do this for me, or it could be gratitude too. It's either begging or gratitude, basically. And real prayer, real connecting to source energy, whatever you call it, God, Allah, Buddha, whatever, is really, it's a multi, it's not talking at, and then you either get scorned or not. It's really a connection of, I need more information. If anyone listening is getting panic attacks, that's what that is. It's like a transformation of energy. So for example, women going through menopause, just like girls going through menopause, I mean, through menstrual cycles, getting their period, that going through menopause, that would be, is going to that cycle of your energy is changing, right? So for women going through menopause, your energy used to be down in your organs and your sexual organs, and now they're going up to your heart. And so for that energy to change, you're going to get what they call hot flashes. You're going to get, every time I've gotten a hot flash or anything, I get super excited. I'm like, oh my God, there's construction going on in my body. I'm so excited. It's like more powerful heart energy. Holy moly. So I get super excited. It's like, oh, yes. I'm transforming into this other being, going from mother, maiden mother crone, going into crone energy, which is the strongest, most beautiful energy.
Yes.
How divine.
I'm not in favor of that whole hot flash thing, but if you're going to have them, I think that's the best energy. I decided I wasn't, and I didn't. So.
Yeah, I have very, very few. Anything that happens like that, though, where people go, oh, I hate them. I'm just like, this is so awesome. Yours probably happened while you were asleep, the construction while sleeping.
No, I actually, my mother had horrible hot flashes. So I decided that I didn't like that whole idea, and I started working on it a long time before.
Awesome.
And I had, if any, like just very mild, and I don't even remember one.
So that's exactly what I'm talking about with like asking the universe for what you want, or source energy, and then communicating back and forth. This is the vision I have. This is what I'm willing to do. This is what I would like. And then you held a really strong vision for what you wanted. And that's what I'm talking about.
And some natural.
And you got to be willing to do the work.
Yeah.
So that's asking in a different way. Like you're asking for people in the know, like what's a good thing to take? You're backing it up with things that actually help. I mean, that's perfect. It's not just wishful thinking.
Yes, definitely. So you do, Ask Me, Maria, or what do you call it?
So I do Lunch with Maria.
Lunch with Maria. Okay.
Yeah, on
Facebook. And
Facebook.
People ask you questions. So what are people asking you now, and where are they feeling stuck?
So a lot of people right now are, so it's Lunch with Maria, and there's a Facebook group called Fans of Finally Full of Yourself. So it's fans of ... finally full of yourself. It seemed like a good title at the time, and now it's too complicated. It's one of those things. But what people are asking is, they're feeling that stress. And so I said that it's great that this pandemic made us stay home, but then when you stay home, then you've got to face yourself, and that can be really scary. It's like it's too quiet. Like you tell a joke and nobody laughs. It's like, So when you're with yourself, by yourself, how does that feel? And it's just really, really important to take a moment and just savor it all. It's important so the main things people ask me is stress, confusion, fear. What is this going to look like? Because their strategy for living no longer fits right now, because you can't fake energy, and the energy right now it's kind of like the universe took everyone in an elevator and it just lifted everyone up. That's why the people who are white supremacists, for example, are freaking out, because they feel the pull. They no longer, it used to be so for example, that woman in Central Park that called that black man was watching birds or something, and she called the police. He's videotaping her saying, just because he annoyed her for whatever, like to her, he was annoying. She made up a story, and she knew that if she just pushed the right buttons, this man is assaulting me, and he's just sitting there saying, I'm doing what? And she videotaped the whole thing, and she just made it up. And so that energy lived on our planet, and that energy has started to leave the planet. And so those people that when she pressed the button, she got the result, that button doesn't work anymore, and she's confused.
Yeah.
Like, why does that button not work?
People are panicking with that. I don't want things to change. I want things to stay the way they are. And the people that are wanting the change, because as you and I were expressing, it's been so slow, they're frustrated. And so they're trying to, push harder. And it's coming to a clash.
Well, because I think a lot of people didn't realize, they thought that there was a neutral. Well, right, in my book, there's no neutral.
You thought we were making progress, and then I find out that there's all these people stuck back a couple of decades, maybe more. And it's like,
yeah. And you didn't want to see what you didn't want to see.
No, I didn't want to see that.
And so I'm married to a white male, and we talk about this all the time, in that we go to a Unitarian church, and Unitarian church is, like I say it, if PBS, if Sesame Street had a church, it would be Sesame Street's church. It's just so, it's the unchurched to me. There's really no doctrine. It's just like, be kind to other people and let's work together to do some projects for people. It's like really casual. And the way that they look at the world, and they talk a lot about privilege, white privilege, especially white male privilege. And he couldn't hear it from me, but he could hear it from the minister. And it's just like, you get to do what you want when you want, and because you've always had that, you don't know that there's anything different, and you don't get that other people don't have that. And that is important, because like,
yes.
If America, well, we don't have to keep talking
a lot of people don't realize that if we want real equality, we have to be able to stand up for other people too, even if it's not affecting us personally. It can't be, it's only the things that are directly affecting me. Like, if I'm only for women's rights, if I'm only for equality for women, that's not good enough. That's not equality. I have to, because it's any marginalized group, it's inequality. And maybe we're never going to get like perfection in equality, but it's just so oppressive now.
Yeah. It goes back to what you said, Kate, about people it's all connected. And the term, I have this again in Finally Full of Yourself, the term races, there's only one race, really. There's human race, and then people have different shades. There's not a race of people that are black or whatever. Like, first of all, we're not white, and almost nobody is black. I mean, I don't know anyone who's black. Like, there are people that are white if they're,
I'm pretty white, but
yeah, but that's not white. Like, if I had, like, I have white in my door,
sort of pinkish. I don't know.
Yeah, it's not white. It's not white.
But
it's just, I'm like looking for white things now.
That isn't it, though. The people, I mean, that's just the word they use for it.
Right.
Yeah,
and it could be anything.
What they're saying is, being this is better than
Yeah.
being that. And that's, we learned that
Well,
wrong.
because it's based, it's a pyramid scheme. You know, racism is a pyramid scheme, and they use color because it's easily identifiable. And that's why one reason too, where people get so freaked out about gender, you know, people are gender neutral now. So some people, I'd say people are, but just like that really freaks out with people, because if you can't label, there's a chapter in there that my daughter loves. In my book, it's called "Labels Are for Clothes, Not People."
Well, I don't even
And
know if they're for.
so like, if they can't label you, then because the label is so, well, what are you?
Well, yes, that's the basis on which they say this is better than that.
Yes. And I'm better than you or not. Because
Yes.
everything is based on being an energy vampire.
And
Everything is based on,
and
they're not taking care of themselves. They're not energetically feeding themselves, right? They're stealing energy from other people.
and it's been labeled as good in some instances, like, okay, I'm American, and that's better than being not
Right.
American, or I'm patriotic, or, you know, and
So,
some of those
so
labels are just a way of um, discriminating or marginalizing another group of people.
sucking the energy out of somebody else.
Yes.
There has to be an other. It's nobody I know. It's nobody I know, so they can be other, because I'm better than you.
I am the good person
Yes.
because I am American, or because
Yes.
I am a patriot, or whatever. You know,
Racism is built in bullyism. Racism is bullyism. That's what it is. I get to be a bully. I get to treat them. I just saw the movie The Help with my daughters, and it was so hard to watch. So hard to watch. My daughters have not been exposed to stuff like that. Like, they just don't see people treating other people like that. And so when they see it, and it's not like a movie or show, like, you know, like that was based on real history.
Yes.
And so, oh my, they just wig out. Like, how can this happen? Why do you let that happen? I'm like, I didn't know.
Yeah, well,
I don't want it to happen.
that
You know?
was actually happening, you know, when I was growing up, and I didn't know about it because I lived in the Pacific Northwest, where I didn't even know what was happening in downtown Seattle, actually, because I lived in the suburbs. I didn't know that when entertainers came to Seattle, that they were not allowed to go in like restaurants, or when they entertained in the hotel, they couldn't use the facilities there. I didn't know any of that. And I only found out as an adult that there were several Black students in my school who they were Black, but they were passing as white because, you know, they didn't want to identify themselves as Black. And, you know, I was, I don't know, I was horrified when I found out. So I understand what your daughters are feeling. I don't know.
It's shocking, because it's just not. And if you really want to, the movie 12 Years a Slave.
Yeah.
You just can't believe, like, to be mean to someone, just to be mean to someone, just to be mean to someone, and like to rip them from their families, rip them from their children, rape them, just torture, like misogyny, and just torture. Like,
it brings out such an ugliness that
it's bullyism on crack. It's just, it's the lowest, grossest common denominator, and people still fight for the Confederate flag, and they still fight for all of these things. It's just gross.
Well, it's sad to me in that, okay, the thing about the police officers, some people are strongly standing up for police officers, saying there are good police officers. And yes, there are good police officers, but a lot of those good police officers are forced by the system of, I don't know, that cronyism, that stand.
It's a cult.
together.
It's a cult.
Yeah, that they're forced to behave in ways that they wouldn't otherwise do.
Nope. Nope.
It's like,
And that's why so many cops have heart issues and failed marriages and violence issues, because they have to suppress it. It's not normal for people. It's just like it's not normal for people to go to war, kill a bunch of people, including children, and then come back and act like everything's fine. You can't unring a bell. You can't unring a bell. And the fact that, you know, a comedian was saying this, like, oh, you know, there's some bad cops, but overall they're good cops. There are professions that you have zero tolerance for bad cops, for bad. He said, for example, a pilot. You don't want, oh, pilots, some are good, some are bad. No, you want just good pilots. You don't want some good pilots. You don't want some good cops. And it's not like happening one time or two times.
I mean,
I think I read somewhere in the month of May, 125 people were killed by the police. So like, it's not like, oh, and not all of them were videotaped. And almost all of them, they lied. And they were believed until the videotape showed up. And then this is a systematic, something is happening around our country. And it's wrong. It's wrong enough for the UN to say that the United States has a problem with racism. And that's, I don't want to say it's embarrassing, but it's very humbling to have the United Nations go, oh, you guys have issues. And this is not a current administration issue. This is the United States of America issue, because we took over land that was not ours. We came here, we the Americans, because I'm an immigrant, I wasn't born here, right? When I was growing up in America, I was spit on, I was beaten up, all because I was from a different country and I spoke two languages. I never not spoke English. I came here when I was almost 4 years old. So I always remember speaking more than one language. And like, but to get, you know, in third grade, to get like people coming at you, hold you down and punch you in the face because you're, you know, in high school to be spit on, it's just, until I, you know, now I pass, right? Now nobody knows.
well,
But
still,
I know.
I mean, you probably wouldn't be ostracized as somebody from Portugal now.
No, now I wouldn't, because I'm college educated, you know, I have multiple degrees, I have all those things. And now, but I remember what it's like. And so that's why I mean, I'm glad for those times. Because, but if I had to live like that all the time,
it has
oh,
been
no.
something that has been historically ingrained in our society. I recently took a DNA test. I've always thought I was Norwegian, German, Scotch, and Irish.
I want to do a drum roll right now.
I found out that I am not any Norwegian at all. I am very little German. I am 26% Finn.
Ah.
And so I was really curious. I mean, my sister argued with me when I told her that. She didn't believe the DNA test. I was wondering why my family thinks that they're Norwegian, and really they're not. They're Finn. Some of my family has some Norwegian, just but not me. Yeah. And so I looked up the history of when you know, people came to the United States.
Yeah.
It turns out that there were a bunch of Finnish immigrants that first went to Norway and settled. They were a community in Norway.
Yeah.
Then they came over to the US and they settled in the Minnesota, North Dakota area where my family's from.
Yep.
They were potato farmers. And they were, because they spoke Finnish, and Finnish is a very difficult and funny sounding language to people in the US, they were ostracized. And the Norwegians had been too when they first came, but they were more accepted at that time.
Yeah.
So since these Finnish people had lived in Norway, they were able to pass as Norwegian. And they, you know, chose to do that.
So crazy.
So you know, if people look at their background, they might,
and they don't know. And I found it so fascinating that a brother and sister with the same parents could have completely different genetic makeup, so that they're like not even from the same countries. And that was like, what? Because there's so many combinations that they might not even have like overlapping places, because you know the DNA sequence could be from anything. My husband always thought that he was like German. They had like his grandparents, his father has his Aryan Nation papers. He saw Hitler speak, like crazy stuff. And he's actually part Jewish, which is like, and he's like the boy, like he looks like, you know, part of the, you know, Nazi army. He's like blue-eyed, blonde hair, and he's just Jewish. I love it. And I'm North African.
really?
Yeah, girl. What?
Yeah, I have something like a 0.5% of Hasidic Jew.
That's so cool. I'm like, I thought I was gonna have some American Native energy. I really thought, but no. It must be just energetic, but
That would be unusual, though, born in Portugal, if you had.
well, because I mean, but people went around. So I mean, you know, I've got English, I've got Irish, Scottish, Iberian Peninsula, like it just
A lot.
lots of congregating.
We've, you know, I probably should just tear up these questions.
Because you get too much personality. That's what it is, Kate. You're fun.
So there are a couple that I want to ask you here.
Okay.
So what do you do for self-care and keeping yourself grounded and in alignment? Because that's really important right now with what we've just been talking about, what's going on in the world, and, you know, what you're going through personally.
So my self-care changes all the time. And good news, bad news, I tend to really be an outside the line person, outside the box, and I tend to like really push my limits. So my body, I'm really in tune with my body. So one of the things, I don't wear a bra too much anymore. I am for this interview, but in general, I can't because of the way my breast tumor is. It constricts it so the lymphatic system doesn't flow. I fluff up my girls all the time, my breasts, like I'm always moving them because to move the lymphatic tissue. I do a lot of dry brushing. They're online. That's an awesome thing to do. Besides taking the supplements, if I don't drink enough water, which sometimes happens because I'm drinking so many teas and different things, I get like almost like a hangover headache almost instantly. And if I don't do something immediately, I use reverse osmosis water because the water we have here is not so great. And so it's really clean water. And if I don't immediately drink the water, I feel it. I need to drink at least 90 ounces a day, which is 3 huge bottles, which is kind of hard to do sometimes. I also meditate a lot. I do a lot of on-the-spot yoga. When my dogs stretch, I stretch. I do a lot of de-stressing in my house. All of us go see therapists. It's all via phone right now, but it's just, we just need it. We need to work things through. Part of getting the gardening. I love to go barefoot outside and sing to the flowers and to the vegetables that are growing. It makes a big difference to me. It makes me feel like I'm in a Disney film, a good Disney film where the mother doesn't die. Like a film that's out there. I love playing with my dogs. I love having, at the beginning of this year, I started feeling really sad that if I died, there are a bunch of friends all over the world that I don't get to talk to, and now we're in quarantine. So I started something called 13 Women, and I had some of my best friends from all over the world, from Hawaii to England to Portugal to Beirut, and we spoke once a week for like 8 weeks, just for me to talk to them and how are you doing, and most of them did not know each other, so it was really, really cool to just have that connection and just to be able to say, you're important to me, how are you doing. It was just really beautiful. So there's a million different things I'm doing, a lot more than that. But those are some of the things to help ground me and keep me sane. Lots of hugging, lots of hugging. I love hugs. I love hugs. Oh, love. I've always loved hugs. Now I really love hugs. And I'm a really, really good hugger. Really good hugger. If people exhale, it's always fun when you hug someone and they're like, that means like they're afraid of life, because I know my intention. So when you hug someone and they just go, oh, it's such a beautiful moment. It really is such a beautiful moment that I miss.
It is, and virtual hugs just don't do it.
Professional, yeah, it's not the same. Professional hugger. That's what I'm going to say. Professional hugger.
So what's next for you? What are you working on? And what's next?
Well, I know I'm going to be working with Oprah again. I don't know in what capacity, but I know I am. And so now that I've lived more than 6 months past where the doctor said that I was going to die from breast cancer, and I feel really good and really healthy, then I feel secure enough right now to start writing again. And I have about 7 books that I just keep. Books talk to me, and they might just be shorter this time. I'm just going to I've written them out, like I've written out the titles and I've given them space, started documents, and I'm just letting them each, it's almost like kids, like I'm letting each flavor come in and just seeing what comes. And I'm super, super excited because really, ultimately, I'm a tool maker and I love to give people tools, just like we did the feel and the have. Like, I love to give people tools that they're going to be out and be like, oh, I feel gross. Okay, what did Maria say? Oh, yeah, I'm saying I am angry. I don't want to have it. I want to feel angry and let it go. And I want to be happy. I want to feel happy. I want to be happy and have happiness. So like that whole shift your focus, because whatever controls your focus controls your life. So I am super, super excited. And I think these are horrific times, and they're also magnificent times, because all of this has been happening in the shadow and it's all coming to the light. And the more I can, we're all going to be here temporarily. And I've had an amazing, amazing, amazing life. And if I died today, it would suck in the sense that I think I have so much to give. And really, death by tit is not how I'm going out. It's just not. I have much more things to do. I didn't come all this way and go through everything I went through for this. And if anything, it gives me a wake-up call. And I'm like, okay, if I have another week, another month, another year, another 50 years, I am here to play. I am here to play. And no matter what comes at me, I'm just like, I'm not dead yet. Literally not dead yet. And it really is a wake-up call that I've been given this gift, this amazing body that I used to call fat and this and that, the other, my wrinkles and this and that. Oh, I've got white hair. I don't color my hair anymore. I don't shave my armpits
beautiful
anymore.
hair.
I'm like, you know what? This is me. This is me. And I'm honoring my body. I'm listening to my body. I'm not saying, oh, you're so this. I've got legs and I can walk across the room, Kate. I can walk
You
across.
are
I can talk. I can hear
beautiful.
you. I can see you. Holy moly. I can smile. I have fingers that move, that pick up stuff, and what? I'm joyous on that. Just that alone. And I hug.
Yes. So this is a hard question considering our conversation here. So if you could leave the listeners with one thought from today's show to carry with them, what would you want that to be?
You are so necessary. If you're born right now, please hear my words. You are so necessary. The people who did whatever they did to you or didn't do what they needed to do, they did the best they can. It was not a personal thing. That was your weight set. That was your training. And the training on earth is sloppy. Don't take it personally. It's not about you. You are light. You are light. Light doesn't have value. You you are magnificent just because you are. And so we need you to live full of yourself, because I can tell you, if I'm activated, Kate is activated, you're activated. We teach that light inspires other people to be full of themselves. And that's how we do it. Just like my whole body, there are parts of my body that were in the darkness, that are in the darkness. And I'm bringing light to them. I'm making the cells that were not full of themselves to be full of themselves. They went rogue. And when they do that, I will have full body health again. And that's what I ask of you. And you are necessary. Please know that. You are necessary. And when you activate, it's all there. It's all there. There's nothing to learn. It's all there. There's nothing to get, to buy. It's all there. Just start listening.
Great. Thank you.
That's my message.
That's awesome advice. And thank you for being here and our conversation. So I want to thank the audience too for listening today. And I have a thought to carry with you through your week. And how would your life be different if you stopped allowing other people to dilute or poison your day with their words or opinions? Let today be the day. You stand strong in the truth of your beauty and journey through your day without attachment to the validation of others. And that was said by Steve Maraboli in Life, the Truth, and Being Free. So thank you again, Maria, and tune in next week. Next week's show will be, my guest will be Brenda Reese, and she is a forgiveness coach. So we're going to be talking about the magnificent gift of forgiveness. So tune in 3 p.m. next Tuesday. And we went way, way over time. So I'm just going to say bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Soul Fire Wisdom with Kate Olson. We hope you enjoyed the show. If we made you laugh, brightened your day, or sparked a new thought, we have succeeded in our mission. Join us next time when we'll share more secrets and truths and all the magic of transformation that is the journey to Soul Fire Wisdom. Always remember, be fierce in the pursuit of what sets your soul on fire.